Hey, I'm Willie from the Zombie Star, and this week in comics is just a bunch of follow-up issues that I'm still following. Still awesome books, mostly from Image. Last week we had some awesome Marvel releases. Kind of the spotlight is on Image. They released several titles this week, and even one from Mad Cave Comics. So let's start talking about them. So we're going to start with Image Comics. We saw issue number 4 of Home released this week, and I'm still loving this for its design and really its scope of the story that it's trying to tell. Seemingly kind of at the center of the story, you're getting this coming of age boy who is learning about his superpowers and is kind of on this grand adventure. And in up to issue number 4, we get a kind of more background story of not just the main character Juan, but even his family and his lineage regarding these superpowers. I had spoke about this book since I think issue 1. I think I did do issue 1. I don't know if I've done one since then, but we're in issue 4 now, and I'm still just appreciating this for kind of how bold it is, and that seemingly this simple story is told through a very controversial lens, and it's telling the story through a very critical issue currently that is ongoing in the United States in regards to immigration, and specifically how it's being dealt in the southern border of Texas. This story takes place in non-fictional settings and areas that actually exist in the state of Texas. And I think it just really does this boldly. While it does have its stance on immigration, and the story will display its view of the immigration system in the United States, I do want to say that the story does remain very character focused, and that is, I think, one of the biggest intentions of this comic book, of this title, is to tell a story of a family and how these policies are impacting them specifically. And it kind of just focuses on this one family instead of kind of building a narrative that is trying to address the entirety of the very debated issue. And I do respect it for that it is genuinely at the heart just trying to tell a very focused story, as we are seeing the impact on it on not only, of course, adults and people who are living in the United States, but children who are making the dangerous journey from their home country to the United States. I had mentioned that this is not going to be for everybody, regardless of your political position or your humanitarian position on this issue. This does take a specific stance on the issue, and you're going to see it more in issue 4 if you're following this. But for me, it's something that's, I feel, just it's very fearless of the author to do, and kind of is unapologetically expressing and displaying the effect that it can have on not only adults, but of course the impact that it has specifically on children. Given that aside, it is also a marvelous story, a fantastical story about a boy and his superpowers, and choices specifically as far as what they're used for, and really is becoming this morality tale that is pretty well done. And I'm actually am enjoying it a lot, regardless of its critical content. Artistically, it is consistent, a very comic book look to it. Characters are in a way sometimes can get a little bit cartoonish, which doesn't really bother me. Very vibrant, very colorful, but very respectful to the character models, and I think just being appropriate for the scenarios that they're in, the situations that they're in. The character models are captured very well in describing and the looks of would-be villains in this story, and of course the would-be heroes as well. They are drawn with intent, and I think display a certain mood for the characters, and I think that's just captured very well for this story. This is already issue number 4. I'm not really sure how long this is going to go for. I want to say it's 5 issues, so this might be coming to an end, but the story still really has not slowed down, and just kind of gets just more and more kind of desperate, really, for the main characters that are caught in this very controversial system. This is Home, issue number 4. I'm really enjoying it. If you like kind of that type of issues to get into a story like that, Home is really going to be for you. Also from Image Comics this week, we saw the release of Time Before Time. This is issue number 3. I think I've been vlogging this since issue number 1, and this is still a hard recommendation, just for it being a very compelling story. And I mentioned in the first issue, this is really drawing on inspiration from, or this is really inspired by classic films, Back to the Future, Looper, any films within that genre, I feel Time Before Time is definitely inspired from. But at the same time, author is really able to weave together a very unique story that makes this stand out apart from anything else. As established since issue number 1, the setting takes place in a very distant future, where crime organizations have now controlled the ability to time travel and offer a very unique service of smuggling people to different time periods, no questions asked. Main characters Nadia and Tatsu, through a very traumatic series of events, have found themselves in the middle of a very deadly and dangerous conflict between the two largest organizations, the Syndicate and the Union. This issue really offers more insight into our main characters, as their unlikely alliance, their fragile alliance, is really put to the test, but also we learn more about their motives and what they intend to do. And this puts them in a very delicate situation of deciding which side of this very dangerous conflict is going to help their specific motives. And of course, how is this going to affect their relationship? This story just has multiple layers, and it's pretty in-depth, and this character creation and the setting is just very well made, and all around really great book. Since issue number 1, the art style has been really consistent, just giving us multiple settings, multiple time periods, and has been really good of displaying these appropriately, kind of just making it easier for the reader to understand when there's time shifts, while still just giving us really good quality work. McConville is really just brilliant in creating these different worlds and different scenarios, besides just giving us great character models, really beautiful environments, and again, just a really all-around great book. This is Time Before Time. This is issue number 3 already. Don't know how long this is going to run for. I kind of hope it doesn't end. This is a really good story for anyone who just loves a action drama, time traveling spin, kind of thrill ride. And that's what Time Before Time is. We did pick up one variant cover displaying main characters Tatsu and Nadia, and this is really awesome. Time Before Time. This week from Image Comics, we also saw the release of Ascender, issue number 17. This book has a special place just in my collection and just for me as a comic book collector and reader, as I've been reading this story since its initial title, Descender, that was released back in 2015. I could make whole videos about the plot, the setting, characters, where I think it draws inspiration from, but that will certainly take some time. But if I had to put it in a nutshell, in a very small nutshell for this grand story, it's an epic space saga that just has a perfect blend of science fiction and fantasy. The core of the story is, to me, about family, and even though separated by the vastness and the many dangers in space, it does little to affect the unbreakable bond between family members and, of course, those that you love the most. The setting takes place over multiple planets, consisting of vast and technologically advanced cities to just deprived and desolate wastelands. There is a roster of characters here, and extremely diverse characters that, of course, since 2015 have been just fleshed out to some really great personalities, making for some really great drama. Although stories focused on main character, I mean, if you had to call it a main character, because the focus is on many different characters, but Tim 21 is the focus of the story, and the focus of the story is on his journey to reconnect with those that he loves the most. In Dustin Nguyen's artistic ability, he's been able to bring this grand story to beautiful life on these pages since 2015. Just bringing this beautiful mesh of science fiction and fantasy, and just the vastness of space and the diverse look of each and every single planet that the characters go through has just been a beautiful display of his range as an artist. If you look at this cover, this is Dustin Nguyen, as he does do a lot of the covers. There are very few variant covers for Descender. I remember there were a few for issue 1 of Descender. This is Ascender. But usually he is our cover artist, and this is Dustin Nguyen here, and this is the artwork that he brings inside the comic book. Just very appropriate for that science fiction feel, but even has this dreamlike kind of feel to it, very appropriate for those magical elements. And Wynne is brilliant in bringing all these elements together beautifully on page, from these character models and just these dramatic, very emotional moments that he's able to capture, to these just a million miles an hour action sequences that really just can blast from one page to the other. Is captured just as beautifully, and again, just showing that great range for a story of this size is really saying a lot for the artist, and really am impressed with this level of work. I would say this is an all-around great book, but that would really be an understatement. It being science fiction and a fantasy epic space drama, I really couldn't say that this is going to be for you if you're into science fiction, or, I mean, this is for a lot of people. If you're a comic book reader, you like comic books, I mean, you should be reading Ascender. Coming from writer Jeff Lemire, who's already very well known and one of my favorite writers in the business, known for things like Sweet Tooth, just off the top of my head. Things like Ascender are just really great. So putting these two together for something as grand a scope as this was is absolutely amazing. This is very bittersweet for me as a reader and a fan, as issue 17 is marking the end for this grand story from Descender over to Ascender. Issue 18 will bring the story to a conclusion, and a little bit heartbroken about that. Been reading this since 2015, been picking up every single issue, knowing that it's coming to an end is kind of very surprising when I reach the last page of this issue. But this is Ascender, and it's going to be very much missed. Issue 17, this has been broken up into volumes already for anybody who wants to go back and start reading from Descender issue number 1. Again, cannot recommend it enough. This is something really special, and just been a thrill ride since 2015. So sad to see Ascender go, but will not be soon forgotten. Hey, so the background changed. I've been moving stuff around today, even though I've been recording this. So just been getting more stuff, wanting to display some more stuff, got some new shelving and stuff like that. So background change, but let's move on. This week we all saw the release of Nottingham, issue number 5, and I think I've been vlogging this one since book 1. We're not sure, I think I've been jumping around on it, but we're already on book number 5, and this is still just a lot of fun to read if you're a fan of just classic lore, classic stories, but with that alternative twist on them, and kind of the author is really taking that liberty and just flipping it on its head. Here you're seeing a strong role reversal when it comes to the arch rivals of Sheriff of Nottingham and, of course, Robin Hood, where Robin Hood takes on the character of just a maniacal, homicidal psychopath that just him and his merry men leave a wake of mutilated bodies as they carry out their agendas. The Sheriff of Nottingham is a more by the book, seasoned, kind of takes no for an answer, kind of servant of the law that is just obsessed and hell-bent with bringing Robin Hood and the merry men to justice. I've been really enjoying this for just the twists and turns, as it really takes on the feel of just this mystery-fueled cop drama, if you will, as every issue kind of reveals a new layer of mystery and kind of deceit, as the Sheriff of Nottingham alone is just the only one who's able to outwit and outsmart Robin Hood and the merry men. As this is a narrative where the concept of robbing from the rich and giving to the poor is just a ruse and a deceit for a much darker and deadly agenda that's being pushed by Robin Hood and the merry men. Since issue number 1, the art has been able to give us a really authentic look for a classic Robin Hood story, and really brings us what we would expect from a Robin Hood setting and a Robin Hood story. From Sherwood Forest to the King's Castle, we're just getting artwork that is completely appropriate and is able to bring this world to life, which is, again, just making this a really good Robin Hood story. And just a very unique take on the classic story of Robin Hood. If you like this kind of lore, if you like this kind of stories, if you're a fan of Robin Hood and just love reading those kind of stories, this has got to be one of the just alternate takes on it, with the twist, such a great twist in the story, and even great twists in the classic characters like Robin Hood himself, Maid Marian, and even of course the Sheriff of Nottingham. This was issue number 5. Not sure if this was the conclusion. This may continue after this, but this is just a lot of fun to read. If you like these kind of stories, this is really a must read. Nottingham, issue number 5. And that's what we have for this week in comics. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think of the books, and let me know what you guys are reading this week, as there's so many things that are coming out. Hope to do this with our new releases next week. And don't forget to visit our website, thezombiestar.com. And I'll see you guys next time.